Did you know that the bottom head of your snare drum can dramatically affect its sound? Today we're going to go over that. We're going to try some tuning differences underneath and see what goes on. One thing I want to put out there is that the top head is where I like it. I'm not changing it. I have put a brand new snare-side head on. It is currently completely loose. It's been finger tightened. That's it. I also am not changing anything with the snare wires. They're where I usually like them. Possibly by the end of this with a brand new snare head on there, I might adjust those snare wires a tad. But for right now, this drum, what you're going to hear is the top head where I always like it, and the bottom head, we're going to see what happens when we change it over time, all right? So I'm going to turn the snares off. Now, what you're going to hear initially, I'm going to tap the drum. You're going to get a lot of just drum sound, and it's mostly top head because that bottom head, can you hear that? It's like, it's not tight at all. So let's check this out. So that's basically the top head with no bottom head for all intents and purposes. Now I'm going to turn the snares on and let's see what we get. That's about it. Nothing happening underneath. One thing to keep in mind, since the bottom head is so loose and the snares are resting on it, the snares are acting like a mute. So it's muting part of that underneath too. You do hear a little bit of snare there, but that's about it. Also, one other thing. Notice I don't have a mic here. I wanted this to be as close to hearing as possible as opposed to putting a mic in here. So it's just these two overheads that is picking up anything around it. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip this drum over and I'm going to turn the tension rods about a quarter turn, and then I'm going to come back. We're going to come back and see what it did. All right, let's check it out. All right, I turned it just a quarter turn on each tension rod on the bottom. Let's see if that's done anything at this point. So let's check it out. It feels like it's giving it a little more resonance to my ear. Let's turn the snares on and see what happens. More snare sound. The snares are starting to engage with that bottom head. Now, the bottom head, I've got a diplomat on the bottom, and it's a very thin head. That's on purpose, especially for this type of snare drum. A thinner head tends to help the snares respond better. Okay, you hit the top head, the air moves, it pushes the bottom head, and the snares slap up against it, and it gives it a little more crispness as far as what I can tell, and I truly do enjoy that. So, okay, so let's go another quarter turn and see where we are. All right, we did another quarter turn. I will say this. Over here where the snares come out and attach to the butt plate, that part of the head was incredibly crinkly. So I did do a few more turns on that just to even that out. But other than that, everything on the bottom was just a quarter turn. Let's see what we got now. Snares off. Notice how now we're getting more drum. The bottom head is getting tighter, therefore the air movement inside is going back and forth, and it's producing a more bodied drum sound. Let's add the snares and see what happened. I'm not sure what just happened there. All right, let's try it again. Okay, so at this point, when I turn the drum over, I must have started moving those. So I got to tune these up just a tad because that isn't right. Okay, there we go. So off again. Snares on. Again, I've done nothing to the top head, so it's just how I always like it. Let's go for another quarter turn on the bottom of this drum, shall we? All right, another quarter turn on the bottom head. Let's see now what the drum without snares sounds like, just as so we can hear what those heads are doing with each other. It feels like the head is obviously getting tighter on the bottom, and if you can tell from this particular standpoint, the drum is starting to thin out a little bit. Its sound as a tom-tom. Yeah, let's put the snares on and see what happens. All right, snares on. Sounded good though. Put those snares on, it sounded real nice. Okay, let's go with another quarter turn and see what happens. Okay, we did another quarter turn on the bottom. Let's see what we've got now as far as a tom-tom snare drum sound. Sounds in tune. But again, it feels like the sound, it's starting to not resonate as much because that bottom head is getting tighter. Okay, right now, that bottom head is pretty tight. Let's try with snares now. It's a lot of snare buzz down there. So the head getting tighter, to me, seems to make the snares, well, they're snappier. They're obviously snappier, but they're also vibrating on there a little bit more. The head's getting closer. We're pulling that rim up, so we're tightening the head. And the snares in and of themselves, because they got loosened earlier, were a little bit down. So I want to try to pull those up where I normally have them. That's more like it. Okay, let's try it one more time. One more quarter turn on the bottom. And right now, this drum sounds like where I always like it. This is a steel-shelled Mapex drum. It's the blade, which they don't make anymore, but it's a great snare drum. I really love this snare drum. I use it all the time it's my go-to for most things. In any case, let's turn this over. Let's see if we can crank it up a little bit more on the bottom. Again, I haven't done anything to the top. So one more time on the bottom. Let's see where we get. All right. We took it up, another quarter turn. The bottom head is probably right now where I like it the most. It's pretty tight. I tend to like the bottom head to be on the tighter side. I don't know if you want to call it tabletop tight, but I definitely like it tighter for the snare sounds I like to get. I use them on all of my snare drums. I have 18 professional snare drums, and they're everything from steel to chrome over brass hammered to brass to maple to maple walnut to birch to brass piccolo. All of them, I tend to like a nice tight snare side head. Do you have to keep it that way? No, you don't, but I like it that way. All right, let's check this thing out. Tom-tom sounds, here we go. Even though the drum is starting to thin out because of how tight the bottom is, it still has a nice fundamental that I like. Maybe not everybody does like it, but it's a fundamental that I like. Let's try it with the snares. Right now, I really, really like that sound coming out of this drum. Would I mute it? Maybe. It depends on how I'm going to record it. You can tell, you can hear the overtones coming off the drum. I kind of like that. I feel that's what a drum sounds like. If you start muting it, it gives it a different sound, which is totally fine because I will mute it. If you could probably see, I've got moon gel things on here already when I've done some recording recently. So, but right now it's wide open and it really sounds great. Yeah, it really does sound great. Now I'm going to do this one more time and we're going to see if we can choke this drum out. So, be right back with you. All right. I've taken it to another quarter turn on the bottom. I think you're gonna hear this. It's starting to choke the drum out to a place where it's just kind of sounding boxy, just real. There's not much. The drum part is starting to go away. So here it is without snares. You still have some of that overtone coming. Here it is with snares. You still have some of the overtones, but it is starting to get thin, real thin. So this is, to me, this is a place I don't want to be at. I'm not going to take it any farther than this. As a matter of fact, I'm going to back it off a tad bit. But I hope you see how you don't need to have it tabletop tight. You don't want it completely loose, but you got to try and experiment. What does your drum sound best at? What do you like to hear? So I would say do what I did, try it. Find that top head tuning that you like. And when you switch out that bottom head, start loose and just try it quarter turn, quarter turn. Now, as always, what you also want to do is make sure that every one of these tension rods is the same sound on the bottom, okay? Just like you do on the top, make sure they're the same sound. Don't just put a head on and go quarter turn, because Russman said so. Get them evened out, get them to the same pitch, and then quarter turn them, and then check them also once you've done that. And then try it. Maybe you like yours very medium. Maybe you like a much more open snare drum sound. Now, here's one caveat. There's so much involved in sound off a snare drum. You turn the snares on and all of a sudden you start choking the drum a little bit. So you have to be aware of how you want your snares to sound with the tuning you have. One big thing, and I see this all the time, people are just like, oh, I want a real snappy snare sound. So they crank those snares up and all of a sudden the drum just chokes. Don't do that, okay? Don't do that. This drum has two knobs, tension knobs for the strainer, Most drums have just one, which is usually by the throw off. What you need to do is turn that off, like unscrew it, don't unscrew it all the way, but get it so that it's not engaged, and then bring it back in, tapping right at the edge of the drum. I can already tell that the drum is choked out right now, but just tap lightly. You don't want to whack the drum, just tap lightly. Is it responding crisply without choking and without being overly rattly? Chances are you're in the right spot. So you have to toy with that a little bit, okay? So, all right, folks, I hope you got something out of this video. I hope that you realize that the bottom head, there's not just one way to do it, okay? I like it one way, but maybe you don't. So, toy with it on the bottom. It's an experiment. Try it out. Tell me in the comments section, do you have a problem tuning your snare drum? Do you worry about the bottom head? Do you like it tabletop tight? Do you like it more in the mid-range? Let us know in the comments section. If you like what I'm doing here, hit that subscribe button, hit the like button, hit the bell icon. Don't forget to watch one of these two videos over here. And until the next time, take care.